Hey, spooky friends, and welcome to The Three Twisted Sisters, hosted by Britt.
Kay, and Lexi.
And today's episode, we are going to be talking all about our recent ghost encounters.
Ooh.
So, ladies, you creeping it real over there?
Oh.
Dead, actually.
Dead ass.
We're sick as fuck up in here.
Yeah. Killing the game. Yeah, we're doing good. Today is just a little mini episode because it's October and we were all three just together and had some pretty spooky things happening.
Yep, and you guys actually drove up to see Dad and had some creepy.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was wild.
I'm so mad.
Yeah,
made you so mad.
Yeah, disturbed my sleep.
Oh, it was a rough. It was. Okay, so we drive up. We decided very last minute that we were going to go visit Dad in Missouri and over the weekend. So we all pile in the car and we head up a 12-hour drive to Missouri. And a lot of Missouri is just like
gross,
haunted anyways. And but especially that town, because that's where Brittany and I grew up, and there's just a lot of interesting stuff about that town.
Yes.
And where my dad lives is a very creepy place, and it's incredibly haunted regardless of anything. So
well, yes, and Dad is located in downtown, and the town itself is where the Pony Express began. It's where a lot of the Oregon Trail actually started in that area as well. Jesse James was shot dead there. Like it is a very old-timey town, but it was also like the gateway to the West. So if you can imagine like that kind of element, not to mention like the old homes and buildings there, a lot of them are over 100 years old. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and something I didn't realize about the Pony Express. So if no one knows, the Pony Express is what started national mail carrying, right? So it basically started with kind of like a group of teenage boys that were delivering mail all over the place on horseback. And this was like from state to state. It wasn't just inside of the town or anything. So they would take all this mail and they would travel into other parts of the states. Well, during this time, a lot of the west side of America was not fully developed yet. Obviously, there hadn't been a lot of migration over there. And a lot of the kids in the Pony Express were murdered by Native Americans. And God knows what else, like, cowboys at that time. I mean, I don't know everything, but I know that a lot of them died because of it. And they have all this history about the Pony Express in St. Joseph, Missouri. So it's very interesting, very creepy. But Lexi, do you want to talk about our first night there?
Okay.
And I want to say, I warned you.
First of all, no, she didn't.
Yes, I did.
Second of all, let me tell my side of the story.
Okay,
yes, Lexi, you've got the floor.
Thank you. So, where to start? So yes, we all piled in a car and drove for 12 hours, and it is, just for like your understanding, it's Kayla, her two boys, Big Marv, and myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whew, okay. So the whole way up there, she's like, I'm so excited for you to see Missouri. I can't wait to show you where I grew up. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's cool. Like it's gonna be sweet, right? And then like as we're getting closer, she's like, oh, like I'm so excited for you to see my dad's like where he's like lives. And she's like, it's kind of creepy. As we get closer, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So I did warn you.
Okay, first of all, you made it seem like it was like flowers and daisies.
No, I
Anywho,
didn't. I said you will finally understand why we are the way that we are because of where you'll see where we grew up.
yeah, but you didn't say your dad's place was creepy. So, anyways, we get there at like 1:00 in the morning because we left super late. And the second we pull up, like, it's like you look inside and it's like the dingy lighting and like areas where it's like darker. And I'm like, oh, that's haunted for sure. And I was like, no big deal. Nothing's gonna happen. And we like set
What
up to
did the
go.
building look like? Paint a picture to our viewers of what
Oh my
Dad's
gosh.
building looks like.
Okay, so this building, right? We pull up and like it's an old school. Like think about old, like it's old, right?
Like
It
how
looks like
old
a
was
castle.
it?
Yeah. And it's like all this like bricks and stuff and like it's just creepy, right? And whatever, we walk in, I'm like, cool, this is awesome. And then we like set up our sleep. We put like an air mattress up and we're in the living room, right?
Yeah.
We're in the living room and myself, Kayla, and one of our boys are like on the air mattress and the other one's on the recliner.
And Marvel.
Big Marv, right? So nothing crazy when we got there, but like we go to bed and Big Marv was like snuggling me for like a second and she never like put it in perspective. She never not snuggles me at night. Like no
like
matter who's there.
Night long.
Yeah, like right? So then we're like 5 minutes into laying down and she like gets up, goes to the corner of like the air mattress, like way away from me. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry for cursing. and she's like just dead locked in on the corner of the room. Like
Which,
just
mind you, sorry to cut you off, but mind you, it's like here's a wall and we've got the air mattress like backed up to the wall. Like Alex is here with her head on this side. I'm here with my head on this side, and then one of my kids is laying next to me. So Marvel gets up and goes standing in between like Lexi's feet and my head, and she's just staring right behind my head. Okay,
Yeah.
pick back up.
So yeah, she's just like staring there, and then she goes diagonal on the air mattress over by Kayla's son, by his feet, and it starts staring at the corner above her other son, the one that's on the recliner, like just staring. And then I'm like, Marvel, like, come here. So then she like comes and like lays with me for a minute. And then she like gets off of me and like goes and lays on Kayla's chest. And she's like growling like on top of Kayla's chest, like behind Kayla though, like not at Kayla, like behind her. And I'm like, oh my god.
And then she stands up and she's sitting on my chest. And for an 8-pound dog, it was a lot of pressure on my chest. And I'm awake, obviously, staring up at her like, what is she doing? And she's staring behind me, like, behind my head. And she just starts growling. And like,
Is it, just to put it into perspective, is it because when you first walk into the apartment, there's like a narrow hall type thing? Was it like down that hallway or was
No,
it
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Was she
Was it at the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she did
Okay.
wander down the hallway and was like, she got so scared she shit herself.
yeah.
Oh,
She was barking and growling, and we kept trying to like calm her down. And we were like, come here, honey. And she was laying on me, and then she did end up jumping off the bed. And when she jumped back on, she didn't go back to Lexi.
Mm-mm.
She went and laid on my son.
Yeah.
And
But like staring at that corner again.
yeah.
And I was like, what the heck? And like that was all night. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God.
And this
I
is
just
after
want to
driving
sleep.
for 12 hours because, and we got
in like
there
the
at,
middle
like,
of the day, you guys
Yeah.
left, right?
Yeah, we got there at like 1:30 in the morning. So when we got there, we like blew this air mattress up and we were like, we are ready to go to sleep. And then this started happening with Marvel. Yeah.
Oof.
That was fun.
And then I started having like the feeling before Marvel got up and started freaking out. I was about to fall asleep and I had like this pain in my chest, like a really excruciating pain in my chest. And I was like, what is going on? And I couldn't move. I was just kind of laying there like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And then I realized that I was going into sleep paralysis. And it was so crazy because when I had sleep paralysis when we used to live in St. Joseph, it literally put me right back into that feeling of being like 5 or 6 years old and going through those motions. And I was like having a full on breakdown in my head. I was like, I can't move. I'm freaking out. My chest hurts. Like, what is going on? And then this is a little wackadoo, but I saw the face of a man like in my head, you know? And it was like an older guy who I'd never met before. And I was like, am I like feeling a heart attack? Like, did this dude have a heart attack and die here? And I'm like catching on to it. And then that was when Marvel got up and started like freaking out and like, yikes. And then the next morning, when my kids got up, they were both talking about that they saw a ghost in the corner of the room.
Oh, yeah, they did do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
forgot about that.
And we were like, ah. And then, of course, we're telling Dad, like, dude, this is what happened. And he's like, well, it never bothers me, so. Like, okay.
And then after that scary night, we drove around and saw Kayla's old homes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And okay, so we got to show her the old houses that we've kind of talked about a little bit, and we'll probably do like a whole episode on them so you guys can really get the full understanding of these creepy haunted houses. But we go there and I show Lexi the old houses, and it was just like interesting vibes being there again. But I forgot, on the way to St. Joe, we switched driving, and so Lexi was driving, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to fall asleep. So I like got comfortable as much as I could, and I fell asleep for maybe like 5 minutes. And my dream was me and Lexi pulled up in front of the most haunted house in St. Joe that we lived at. And I get out of the car, and Lexi's like, come on, let's go knock on the door. Let's go knock on the door and see if they'll let us go in. And I was like, no. And she kept like pulling my arm, and I was like, no, I don't want to. And then somehow she convinced me. Checks out. And so we start walking up to the house, and the front door flings open, and it's just like darkness inside. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And we start walking more, of course. And this like huge dark hand, like in Monster House almost, comes out and grabs me and ripped me in. Ew. And then I woke up. Yeah. And I was like, and we're still driving there. And so I told her, I was like, this just happened. And then we get there, and all that stuff happens the first night. And then we go see it the next day. And
they didn't let me knock on the door.
No, I wanted to. I was like, okay with it. I was like, fine, we could try. But Dad was like, we are not knocking on anyone's door and getting out of the car. He was like, if you get out of the car, you're going to have to find your own way back to the house.
But I was okay with that. He didn't let me out of the car.
Yeah, it was child locks, you know.
He's so
wonders. So dramatic. Ridiculous.
No, I have like an annual dream about visiting that house. And for whatever reason, same kind of thing. I get to the porch, I knock on the door, and I'm like, I used to live here. I grew up here. Can I look around? And it's, it like beckons you back almost.
Yeah, it does. And I've had dreams like that before. But usually I'm standing on the sidewalk, like staring at the front door. And I'm like, I don't want to go in. And then it opens up, and it's like darkness, and it's like, come in, come in, come in. And then I wake up. But this one was freaky. That extra little flare. Ugh.
Yuck.
But yeah, St. Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Fun experience.
Mm-hmm. Out of 10, do not recommend.
Yeah, well, you know.
I don't
interesting place. Yeah. But then a few weeks after that, Britt.
The week after. What are you talking about?
Was it the week after?
Yes.
All right. The week after. My life, like, my time is just, like, not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and through a lot those weeks. So.
It was a crazy time. But the next weekend, Britt and her family oh, hi Marvel. Hello, our little ghost dog. They make the sorry, I keep popping her nose. They make the drive out to Georgia, and they ended up stopping at our house to stay a couple days. And Brittany, do you want to take over some of the stuff that happened?
Yeah, when I went and visited you guys, we had a trip over the summer to see everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So Kayla was out of the house. She was on a date.
How'd the date go?
No comment. I plead the fifth.
She ghosted him.
She ghosted him.
No, I didn't. I'm not a ghoster, even though I'm a ghost right now.
So, and Kayla, you know, it was like, whatever. Anyway, so she was on a date, and the kids were in their room asleep, and our parents and I are on the back porch, and I look over, and because you can, from the porch, you can see Kayla's bedroom, and I look over and her light is on, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, the kids are up, like they're supposed to be in their room asleep, like what's going on? So when I took a breath, the sheet went in my mouth.
It's like suffocating you.
It's the ghost that turned the light on trying to shut you up.
Seriously, creepy.
Oh.
So I go in there and I'm like, what the heck? And her bedroom door is closed. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they like went in anyway. So I go into the room. Nobody's in there. The light is on. I get hit with this particular energy that I have felt before. And I was like, just let her have one fucking night. I like said this out loud. I was like, let her have one fucking night, leave her alone and get over it. I was like, get the fuck over it kind of thing. And I like ran down the hall because I'm like, either this happened or I'm crazy. So I like shuffle down the hallway, and sure enough, when I go and check on the kids, they're all asleep. And I'm like, okay dokie. So I go on the porch again, and lo and behold, a few seconds later, that fucking switch turns back on, and I'm like, you know? So that happened a little bit, but the majority of the time, our parents had the guest room, and I either slept on the sofa or with Kayla, or at Alex or Lexi's. Sorry.
How dare you!
Slept in Lexi's bed, and then the couch or Kayla's, and then the guest room eventually. Because our parents went off and like had their own little time together. So the first night in the guest room bedroom, which I've heard tales of that room being like,
oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah.
My parents in there?
Yeah, that was no, even stuff we've gone through.
Yeah.
Having to go in there.
My parents' one was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that was we'll talk about that one right now too, but Brittany finish.
Okay. So, and I'm in there, like I was binge watching Outlander at the time, but I switched
Great
over.
Show.
No,
Great
I do
show.
not recommend.
I highly recommend.
It's fantastic, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Oh my god. Stop.
Hi, laddie.
She was walking around the house for months talking like that. Oh, I couldn't stand it.
That was a month ago that they were even here.
Oh
Yeah, for months. You just stopped like maybe 3 weeks ago.
Hey.
So I switch shows because I'm kind of like, okay, I'm falling asleep. Let me put something on that's a little bit more lighthearted. So I switched to Great British Baking Show. Sorry for the play-by-plays. And then I thought to myself,
the narrator takes over. Brittany's just like standing there.
Yeah.
Seriously. So I'm in bed, whatever, and I feel this familiar presence. Not, I'll say it was definitely it felt female. Now, the one I had felt days before was more of like a male energy. So in this particular room, I'm laying down on the bed. I switch my show, whatever. And I'm laying on my back and I feel someone come onto the bed, and it's just like by my feet sitting on the bed. And I'm like in my head going like, is this happening right now? Like as I'm getting comfortable, like what is going on? And I had slowly but surely it moved from my feet to my chest. And
Kinky.
I don't know if it was sitting on my chest or just like the heaviness was in my chest. In my own kind of, like third eye thinking, it felt as if something was sitting on my chest, just like looking at my face.
Mhm.
Almost like trying to like gauge, like, can I scare this person? Like, what level can I take this? And it was like such a tight feeling. I eventually was just like, get off of me and get away from me, and I spoke it out loud. And a couple more things, like just sounds or movements around the room. The carpet in there is like very lush. So just hearing like like if you can imagine like a foot pressing into like a lush carpet and it making like a crow, crow.
Exactly what it sounds like.
How? What was
It's like squishy, squishy. So, I mean, just like a little bit stuff like that, but nothing like definitely not the most scary settling down for bedtime I have ever had, but that was definitely spooky. Fast forward to when we're visiting on our travels across the country. Now, in between California and the girls' house, we didn't stop anywhere. And by the time we get to Kayla's, I think it was the second or the third day we were there. We're hanging out. Josh and I are like, oh, we're going to run to Jack in the Box, like right, close by. So when we come back, we're like walking up the driveway, and I hear like pebbles being thrown, and like fast footsteps behind us. And I like turn because on this particular street there's a couple houses that are vacant. And so I'm like, either there's kids, an animal, like what's going on? So I turn around, I like whipped my head back, and I'm like, what the heck was that? Nothing was there. There was a car parked on like our side of the curve, I would say, but that was about it. So I got the feeling like something was like hiding behind the car and like watching us walk in, kind of like this action.
We can't see.
I see it. I see it.
Like, imagine your third eye, ladies.
I'm right there, Brittany.
So basically, we come into the house, and I'm like, that was really strange, but okay, I was willing to write it off because we had company over and I didn't want to make a big deal about something.
And then she walks in and we're freaking out.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, tell me what happened. So
well, the best part is that the friend that was over, like, I don't know, how do you explain that we don't really like touch the subject of like
it like comes up and I'm like, no.
Yeah, like we don't talk about the paranormal stuff with new people because we don't want to like, make them think we're crazy or something. So but this person like picked up on it really quick. And my favorite part was how excited he was that
So excited. Like, what's wrong with
yes,
you?
Like, let's get out the digital recorder and
nobody,
the camera
but nobody did that. So
nobody did it because everyone was freaking out.
True, that's true. Except for
Yeah.
Brittany.
Okay,
Brittany's like,
yeah, Brittany's like jumps up and they're like investigating. But okay, well, we can explain exactly what happened. But I just love when people get like super hype about paranormal stuff because it just makes it so much more fun.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Brittany went to go get food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom and then I come out. When did you shut the door?
Oh, you went to the no.
I went to the bathroom before. I went before him.
Oh, okay, well, it was. Where did you go after that?
To the living room. Or I went outside to let Marvel out.
Yeah, you went outside and then he goes to the bathroom. And I heard something and I was like, what the heck was that? And I saw, I think the light was on and no, it wasn't on yet. I just heard something in the front. So I walked down the pitch black hallway and the guest room door is open and our guest was in the bathroom right next to it. And I was like, did he open the guest room door? Like, that's weird. So I shut the door and then I walk back to the living room and I'm just kind of sitting waiting. And then he comes out and the door was open again. Right? And then he shut it.
No, the door was closed.
Oh, he went in and it was open and he was like, that was weird that the guest room was open. Went to the bathroom, came out and it was closed because I closed it.
Yes.
And then he comes back down and then you can keep going.
And then I don't know when we realized it was open again. Was it when Brittany came back?
Yeah.
You guys had heard a sound and he like freaked out. The light in there also turned on.
Yeah, and the door was open again.
And he was, by the time, like, we're walking in and we're like, hey, everybody. And he's super jazzed. And he's like, you're not going to believe this. It's opening and the light's on now and yada, yada. Well, I was like, way too brave. I was like, oh, fuck this. Like, I'm going to go down that hallway. Like, what's going on? So I'm like, I get to probably halfway through this long corridor that is pitch black.
The absolute drama. It's like a hallway.
It's a corridor.
I look down at the door and it's open and I like stop and I'm like, okay, you guys, this is like, what am I
No.
Mind
let
you,
me just
her
say,
kids are in there.
Yeah, her kids are in the room, but it's Brittany, and then our friend is right behind her. They look like they're freaking Scooby-Dooing it down the hallway, like one right after another, like so excited to get down there, and then they both just like stop.
It's like Scooby and Shaggy when they stop.
Exactly. And then they just like stop, and then Brittany, I think you were like, oh my god, like the door's open. And we were like, oh gosh. And then you guys like ran back. Right?
Yeah, and then you went in the room.
Yeah.
And that's when Brittany's child told you
there was someone in the room with her. Because I just remember getting to the end of the hallway and us both like stopping and being like,
ruh-roh. Just kidding.
Exactly. Wow. Turn around. I need a Scooby snack. This is crazy. Honey, were you opening the door and turning on the light? And she was like, I turned on the light. And I was like, okay, did you have a bad dream? Like, what woke you up? And she was like, she specifically said, they don't like the dark.
Ah.
Yeah.
In this creepy room.
Yeah.
In all reality, it is a gorgeous room. You guys made like such a cute, tranquil guest room. But whatever is in there it's definitely.
Yeah. Side note, this doesn't have to do anything with the haunting, but Brittany's daughter scared the bejesus out of me.
I was gonna say the hallway walk.
Twice that night. Oh my gosh. So one time, I'm the only one that's watching it, right? At the first one. She has like a wrapper in her hand of trash, and that's how I heard her. She's like on all fours with her hair in front of her face, like crawling. I was like, nobody like seeing this. And then the second time I was blowing my nose, so I like went into the kitchen area to like blow my nose, but I could see in the room that she was in, and she just like comes out of the doorway with her hair in her face. I was like, oh.
My kids don't often comment on seeing certain things. When they were younger, it was like, you know, a kind of like a regular event depending on where we lived. But as they've gotten older, it's either, you know, oh, I had a nightmare of this happening, or I had, you know, it's not like a specific they saying they don't like it dark, that kind of vibe, which is just, ugh. When I hear that, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that room is super creepy.
Yeah.
Because when my parents stayed over, it's so funny. In like the corner of the room, they heard like knocks going down. And mind you, like we went to bed at like midnight, 11 o'clock, right? And they were like hearing the knocks down the side. And the next morning they like told us, and my mom was like, oh, it probably was a neighbor or people outside. We looked outside, nobody was there. We thought that you guys were joking with us and like thought we're knocking on the wall. But
yeah,
we,
because like at midnight we would
yeah,
want to go outside and go knock down the wall. Like,
Ew.
like she's like
no.
trying to be so logical about it. She's like, but we
Mhm.
boiled it down to it being the neighbors knocking on their door. And we're like, why? Like, you can't hear them knocking like on their door from your room. Like, this doesn't make sense, Mom.
Yeah, she was like, because then me and Lexi were like,
It was a
no,
ghost. It was a
like,
ghost.
It was a ghost. Like, that's our most haunted room here. Like, sorry you got the shit into the stick and you have to stay in there, but yeah, it was a ghost. And she was like,
and she's like, no.
well, no, it had to have been the neighbors.
And then my dad's like just sitting there, like on the table,
Yeah.
and like tapping his fingers, like,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Not saying anything
Yeah.
about it. Just
he's-
like
he knows it's a ghost.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, that was fun.
I'll say it once and I'll say it again. After you guys moved, Mom's house, and it was like the night before you guys left that you heard the knock knock knock.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this, Mom's house is always very active. But I will say the activity significantly decreased. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from Mom's, a la the man who's been attached to Kayla for 28 years, might have come with you, hitched a ride with you guys.
I
Well,
know
the
he
thing
wasn't
is-
in my car.
Yeah. The thing is that energy will latch onto anything. I mean, when people talk about like residual hauntings, that is energy from the living that is kind of left over on not only like houses and furniture and walls and floors and stuff like that, but it's just around. So when we first got to this house, I mean, this is a brand new house. We're the first ones that have lived in it, and it was weird how completely empty it was. Like, we noted that so many times when we first moved in that there was no freaky feelings about it at all. And
Right.
then both of our stuff gets delivered a couple weeks after we moved in, and that's kind of when
Like it's like
activity
our
started.
different energies had beef.
Yeah, they were beefing the whole time in the little pod container that got delivered. And I think that it's a conundrum of stuff. Because
None of mine.
no, not true. Not true. First of all, you bring a whole other layer of
False.
like, funky stuff. Yeah, straight up. But the weird thing is that I've never experienced the knocking the way that we have here until the night before we moved here. And who did I experience it with?
Beats me.
Yeah. Who? I'm just gonna throw that out there.
That'll do it. We experienced a similar with our move. So we leave Kay and Lexi's and make our way to Georgia. And staying here, we stayed in a hotel, just like a random hotel for it was for 2 nights. and we were gonna go do whatever after that. Anyway, so we ended up staying in 2 separate hotels, a few days apart because we have family close, so we went and visited family. So I go to take a bath, and I'm just like looking around the bathroom, and I've stayed in normal hotel rooms, I've stayed in haunted hotel rooms, and at this moment I was like, somebody absolutely tried to commit suicide in this bathroom. Like, hand to God, like I know this to be true. I just had like this feeling in my bones. Either way, I still took a bath, but that feeling didn't leave. And lo and behold, the next day, as we're like making our way to visit family, I Google just like the city that we were staying in, and any like potential suicides or things like that. And sure enough, they didn't list the hotel specifically, but they did list the street that it was on, which happened
Yikes.
to be the same street. Somebody had committed suicide in a bathtub there. And
Ooh, aye, aye, aye.
for me, it was just like a bit of confirmation and just saying like, okay, yes, like I felt that vibe. It was a little creepy. There was like in the grout, for instance, there was a little bit of staining. So that's like the first thing that kind of like got my mind going with, oh, that kind of looks like old blood.
Ew.
Yee.
Sorry. It was like,
In the grout?
now moving into our new place, I at first there wasn't any kind of weird things going on. Um, I didn't feel, it just felt like a new start, like a new energy, like fill your energy within these walls kind of inviting vibe. My husband and I did have like the same dream one night, which was about alligators of all things. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And he's not one to be like, this place is haunted. He's not like that type of I'm the crazy one. He's this more nonchalant one, if you will.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
so he's like, yeah, this place seems good, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't think that there's anything strange going on. I don't think there's any ghosts here. That's like what I told him. That night, there was like a couple knocks, a couple bangs. Now, we had been there for a few days, so it absolutely could have been the apartment settling. But as soon as we got our household goods, the vibe definitely changed. Now, we had certain items in a storage unit, we had certain items at my mom's house, that all came here together. So, with that, I just, as like I unpack and I put things in their new place, I've been cleansing and, speaking out loud the like, you are not allowed in this area kind of thing, love, light, power of God, all that, whatever you say to cleanse your space, is kind of what I've been doing because I would like to avoid that. Now, I will say 2 nights ago,
Tell us.
my daughter wakes up. She comes into our room and is like, Mom, I have had a nightmare. Let me come into your bed. So I like let her, get in between me and my husband, and I'm like having a heat stroke because
Literally.
hi, I'm 30. So I'm like, okay, it's the middle of the night. I get up to go pee and I come back to bed. And I just have this feeling that something is behind me. And I'm turned inward facing my daughter and my husband. And I just have this feeling like someone's behind me. And I have like half my body out of the sheets at this point, just to give you kind of a visual. And I felt like a tingly feeling on my back, and I was like, I just said, whispered, like, you do not have permission to touch me. Leave me alone. You are not allowed here. And in my head, I'm like, I'm probably just like, it's the middle of the night. I'm probably being silly. At the same time, I was like, no, firm fucking thing. You are not allowed here. Blah, blah. So I'm just laying there and I get like that overwhelming fear of like, this is happening right now. Like, there is something here. I can feel it. I can sense it. And right behind me, I hear the floor creak. Like somebody's like shifting their footstep. And I was just like, okay, dokie. And somehow I managed to fall asleep. But yeah, so especially after that, and I had already kind of cleansed the kids' room that day, actually. So it's been an ongoing cleansing process and just setting up those boundaries where, spirits and the like do not have permission to step over our boundary.
Well, what happened last night? Because Lexi didn't hear what happened last night with your daughter.
Oh, the sleepwalking?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Now, both my kids on and off have had sleepwalking episodes. And so my husband and I are watching Yellowstone because, ayo, good show. And my daughter, who has like been asleep for probably like an hour, I would say, she comes out and she, like, the expression on her face, she's just like half awake kind of thing. And at first I didn't think like, oh, she's sleepwalking right now. I thought like, what? Because she walks over, she picks up the remote and she's like holding it up to the TV, like she's turning it off or doing something with the TV. And she's like mumbling.
Ew.
And
Sorry.
no, because there was a moment just to kind of add the creep factor, where she like walks over to me and she's like, come. And she's like holding my hand out. And she says, come to me. And I'm like, I'm not coming with you anywhere because
I ain't going nowhere.
I had like this thought, like, what if
She's like just
her back to the bedroom and she's in her fucking bed and who is this thing? Like, that's like,
oh god.
so such an active imagination in my noggin,
Mm-hmm.
But she happens to say to me and my husband, because she's like trying to walk to the other side of our place, and she says, my dragons are ready now. And I'm like, all right.
Okay, Game of Thrones.
It would have made more sense if you guys were watching, what is it called? The Game of Thrones spinoff?
House of Dragon.
Yeah, you haven't even watched it yet.
Yeah, but I know.
Yeah, but if you guys had been watching House of Dragon instead of Yellowstone.
Josh and I were both like, WTF? Is she asleep right now? What's going on? We get her back to bed. She falls like pretty instantly back to sleep. Close the door, go to sit on the sofa, whatever. So yeah.
So, Twisted listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this little mini episode.
Yes. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, then you can obviously see us in our ghost attire. And if you're not, our YouTube is Three Twisted Sisters Podcast. We would love for you guys to check out our costumes from October's episode so far. And let us know what you think about our ghostly encounters we've had over the last couple of months. We would love to hear any ghostly encounters that you guys have had. So definitely jump to our YouTube. You can comment down below, or you can check out our TikTok or Instagram at _3 Twisted Sisters, or send us an email to 3twistedsisterspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your stories. We want to know.
Absolutely. And we hope that you guys have a wonderful week and you take care and stay
Stay
twisted.
twisted.